In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, a grand alliance of alien civilizations thrived. Known as the Galactic Concordat, this coalition spanned thousands of star systems and comprised hundreds of species. For millennia, they had reigned supreme, unchallenged in their dominion over the stars. On a bustling space station orbiting a gas giant in the Orion Arm, representatives from various alien races gathered. The station's observation deck buzzed with activity as delegates from across the galaxy converged to witness a historic moment. Admiral Zixthor, a towering insectoid with iridescent wings, stood at the forefront. His compound eyes scanned the starfield beyond the reinforced windows. "They're late," he chittered impatiently. Beside him, Ambassador Lur, a gelatinous being from the aquatic world of Neptulus Prime, burbled in agreement. "Perhaps they got lost in the vastness of space," Lur joked, his translucent body rippling with amusement. The gathered aliens shared a laugh. The notion of a new spacefaring race fumbling their way to this meeting point tickled their sense of superiority. As the laughter died down, a small blip appeared on the long-range scanners. The room fell silent. Zixthor leaned forward, his antennae twitching with curiosity. "Magnify," he ordered. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a distant cluster of objects. As the image sharpened, confusion spread through the room. The approaching fleet consisted of ships so small they were barely visible against the backdrop of space. "Is this some kind of joke?" growled Krog, a bear-like creature with cybernetic enhancements. "Those aren't warships. They're toys." Indeed, compared to the massive dreadnoughts of the Galactic Concordat, the approaching vessels seemed comically undersized. The largest among them was no bigger than a standard Concordat shuttle. Lur's gelatinous form quivered with mirth. "Perhaps they're an advanced scouting party. Surely their real fleet must be behind them." But as the minutes ticked by, no larger ships appeared. The tiny fleet drew closer, maintaining perfect formation despite their diminutive size. Admiral Zixthor's mandibles clicked in disappointment. "This is the mighty human fleet we've heard so much about. The ones who claim to have mastered faster-than-light travel." Ambassador Lur extended a pseudopod towards the screen. "Look how they struggle against the solar winds. One good asteroid field would wipe them out." The room erupted in laughter once more. Even the most diplomatic among them couldn't help but join in the mockery. The humans, it seemed, were nothing more than cosmic minnows swimming in an ocean of leviathans. As the derision reached its peak, a junior officer burst into the room. "Admiral, Ambassador, we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet." The laughter died down as all eyes turned to the main screen. A grainy image appeared, slowly resolving into the face of a human. The alien delegates leaned in, curious to see these newcomers up close for the first time. The human captain, a woman with dark skin and piercing eyes, spoke clearly and confidently. "Greetings, representatives of the Galactic Concordat. I am Captain Amelia Chen of the United Earth Fleet. We come in peace and look forward to establishing diplomatic relations." Admiral Zixthor stepped forward, barely concealing his disdain. "Welcome, Captain Chen. We admire your bravery in venturing so far from your home with such a modest fleet." If Captain Chen noticed the condescension in his tone, she didn't show it. "We appreciate your warm welcome. Admiral, our ships may be small, but I assure you, they are more than capable of handling the rigors of deep space travel." Ambassador Lur couldn't resist a jab. Of course. Though perhaps in the future you might consider bringing some actual warships to these meetings. The galaxy can be a dangerous place for smaller vessels." Captain Chen's expression remained neutral, but those watching closely might have noticed a glint in her eye. "Thank you for your concern, Ambassador. Rest assured, our fleet is well equipped to handle any situation we might encounter." As the transmission ended, the alien delegates exchanged bemused glances. They had expected so much more from these humans who had made such bold claims about their technological prowess. Little did they know, The true capabilities of the human fleet were far beyond anything they could imagine. Their mockery of the tiny fleet would soon turn to astonishment and fear as they discovered just how wrong their first impressions had been. For now, though, the Galactic Concordat remained blissfully unaware of the storm that was about to engulf them. They continued to laugh and joke, secure in their perceived superiority, as the small human ships drew ever closer to the station. As the human fleet approached the massive space station, the atmosphere among the alien delegates shifted from amusement to curiosity. Despite their initial mockery, they couldn't deny the precision with which the tiny ships moved. It was time for a closer look. Admiral Zixthor ordered the docking bay prepared for the arrival of the human vessels. "Let's see these advanced ships up close," he chittered to his staff, mandibles clicking with skepticism. The first human ship to enter the docking bay was barely larger than a Concordat escape pod. Its sleek, silvery hull gleamed under the harsh lights of the station. As it settled onto the landing pad, the gathered aliens leaned forward, eager to see what would emerge. With a soft hiss, a hatch opened on the side of the ship. Captain Amelia Chen stepped out, followed by a small delegation of humans. They looked tiny and fragile compared to the towering alien forms around them. Ambassador Lur oozed forward, his gelatinous body rippling with barely contained amusement. "Welcome aboard, Captain Chen. I trust your journey wasn't too taxing on your little vessel." Chen smiled politely, seemingly unfazed by the condescension. "Not at all, Ambassador. Our ships may be compact, but they're incredibly efficient." As the human delegation moved away from their ship, several alien technicians moved in to examine it more closely. One of them, a multi-limbed Zerkian named Glix, ran a scanner over the hull. Suddenly, Glix's eye stalks widened in surprise. "Admiral, Ambassador, you need to see this," he called out, his voice trembling slightly. Zixthor and Lur moved closer, their curiosity piqued. "What is it?" the Admiral demanded. Glix's tentacles waved in agitation as he explained. "The hull. It's made of materials I've never seen before. And the energy readings, they're off the charts." Ambassador Lur's gelatinous form rippled with disbelief. "Impossible. A ship that small couldn't generate that much power." But as more scans were conducted, it became clear that the human ship was far more than it appeared. Its hull was composed of an unknown alloy that seemed to absorb and deflect energy simultaneously. The power core, though miniaturized, outperformed even the largest Concordat dreadnoughts. While the aliens puzzled over the ship, Captain Chen and her team were being given a tour of the station. They moved with a quiet confidence that was starting to unnerve their hosts. In the central command center, a young human engineer named Alex paused in front of a massive control panel. "Interesting design," he remarked casually. "Though I think we could improve its efficiency by at least 200% with a few tweaks." The alien technician manning the station scoffed. "Impossible. This is the most advanced system in the galaxy." Alex shrugged. "Maybe. But have you considered using quantum entanglement for instantaneous data transfer? It would eliminate the lag you're experiencing." The alien's jaw dropped. Quantum entanglement was theoretical at best in their science. How could these humans speak of it so casually? As the tour continued, more such incidents occurred. The humans casually pointed out potential improvements or discussed technologies that the Concordat had deemed impossible. With each passing moment, the alien's sense of superiority began to crumble. Back in the docking bay, Admiral Zixthor was growing increasingly agitated. "How?" he demanded, glaring at the human ship. "How can something so small be so advanced?" A human engineer overheard him and smiled. "It's simple, really. We focused on efficiency and miniaturization. Why build big when you can build smart?" The Admiral's compound eyes narrowed. "And your weapons? Surely such small ships can't pose a threat in battle." The engineer's smile widened. "With all due respect, Admiral, size isn't everything. Our ships may be small, but they pack quite a punch. Would you like a demonstration?" Before Zixthor could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. A panicked voice came over the intercom. Unidentified ships approaching. They've breached our outer defenses. In the chaos that followed, the true capabilities of the human fleet were about to be revealed. The aliens who had mocked the tiny fleet were about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating their new galactic neighbors. As Captain Chen and her team rushed back to their ships, the smiles on their faces suggested they knew something the Concordat didn't. The stage was set for a revelation that would shake the very foundations of the galactic order. As alarms blared throughout the station, chaos erupted among the alien delegates. Admiral Zixthor's antennae twitched frantically as he barked orders to his subordinates. Battle stations. All ships, prepare for combat. Captain Chen and her human team, however, remained calm. They exchanged knowing glances before Chen stepped forward, her voice cutting through the pandemonium. Admiral, perhaps we can be of assistance. Zixthor turned to her, his compound eyes reflecting a mix of disbelief and desperation. You? What can your tiny ships do against an unknown threat? Chen's lips curved into a slight smile. More than you might think, Admiral. Allow us to demonstrate. Before Zixthor could protest, Chen tapped a device on her wrist. In an instant, the human delegation vanished, teleporting back to their ships. The aliens gasped in shock. Teleportation technology was thought to be impossible. Outside the station, the situation was grim. A fleet of menacing black ships had appeared out of nowhere, their hulls bristling with weapons. They were known as the Void Reavers, a notoriously ruthless group of space pirates that even the Galactic Concordat feared. As the Concordat's massive battleships lumbered into position, the human fleet sprang into action. Their tiny ships zipped between the lumbering alien vessels with incredible speed and agility. Ambassador Lure, watching from the command center, burbled in astonishment. How are they moving so fast? It defies the laws of physics. On the main view screen, the human ships began to engage the Void Reavers. What happened next left every alien observer speechless. The tiny human vessels suddenly expanded, sections unfolding like intricate origami. What were once small, unassuming ships transformed into sleek, heavily armed battlecruisers. Their hulls shimmered with energy fields far beyond anything the Concordat possessed. Captain Chen's voice crackled over the comms. Concordat fleet, please hold your position. We'll handle this. Before anyone could object, the human ships unleashed a barrage of weapons fire. Beams of coherent light, more powerful than anything the aliens had ever seen, lanced out towards the Void Reavers. The pirates' shields, which had easily repelled Concordat weapons in the past, crumbled like tissue paper. Missiles that seemed to bend space itself around them corkscrewed towards their targets, impossible to evade. When they detonated, they didn't just damage the Void Reaver ships, they seemed to erase sections of them from existence. Admiral Zixthor's mandibles clacked in disbelief. Impossible. They're using weaponized singularities. The battle, if it could even be called that, was over in minutes. The dreaded Void Reaver fleet, terror of the galaxy, had been reduced to scattered debris. Not a single human ship had been lost. As quickly as they had transformed, the human vessels folded back into their compact forms. Captain Chen's ship docked once more with the station, and she strode out to meet the stunned alien leaders. Ambassador Lure oozed forward, his gelatinous form quivering with a mix of fear and awe. Captain Chen. What? How? Chen smiled diplomatically. As we said, Ambassador, our ships are more than capable. We simply believe in efficiency. Why show all your cards unless you need to? Admiral Zixthor stepped forward, his earlier arrogance replaced by a newfound respect. Captain, we owe you an apology. We gravely underestimated you and your people. Chen nodded graciously. Apology accepted, Admiral. We understand that appearances can be deceiving. We hope this demonstration has shown that humanity is ready to be a valuable member of the galactic community. As the implications of what they'd witnessed sank in, The alien delegates began to murmur amongst themselves. The balance of power in the galaxy had just shifted dramatically. Krog, the cybernetic bear-like creature, growled softly. If their tiny fleet can do this, imagine what their full military force is capable of. The thought sent a shiver through the assembled aliens. They had mocked the humans, seeing them as insignificant. Now they realized they were facing a civilization far more advanced than their own. As discussions about new treaties and alliances began, one thing was clear. The era of the Galactic Concordat's unchallenged dominion was over. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and nothing would ever be the same again. In the days following the Void Reaver incident, the Galactic Concordat found itself in an unprecedented situation. The human delegation, once mocked for their tiny ships, now held the attention of every alien race in the Alliance. Curiosity, fear, and respect mingled in equal measure as negotiations for Earth's entry into the Concordat began in earnest. Admiral Zixthor paced nervously in the Grand Conference Room, his clawed feet clicking against the polished floor. Around the massive table sat representatives from dozens of alien races, all eyeing the small group of humans with newfound wariness. Captain Chen sat calmly at the head of the human delegation, her posture relaxed but alert. Beside her, Dr. Rajesh Patel, Earth's leading xenobiologist, and Commander Sarah O'Neill, a tactical expert, flanked her sides. Ambassador Lur oozed into his seat, his gelatinous form rippling with barely contained curiosity. "Before we begin formal negotiations," he burbled, "might we inquire about the fascinating technology we witnessed?" Chen smiled diplomatically. "Of course, Ambassador. We're happy to discuss our advancements within reason. Perhaps we could start with a cultural exchange." What followed was a presentation that left the alien delegates stunned. Dr. Patel explained how humanity had focused on sustainable technologies, leading to breakthroughs in energy production and materials science. Commander O'Neill detailed their approach to space exploration, emphasizing efficiency over size. As they spoke, holographic displays flickered to life, showing the rapid progress of human civilization. From the first steps on the Moon to the terraforming of Mars, from the harnessing of quantum mechanics to the creation of AI partners, the story of humanity's ascent unfolded before the alien audience. Krog, the cybernetic bear-like creature, leaned forward, his artificial eye whirring as it zoomed in on the displays. "Impossible," he growled. "No species could advance this quickly without outside help." Chen's eyes flickered with amusement. "I assure you, Krog, everything we've achieved has been through our own efforts. Necessity, as they say, is the mother of invention." Admiral Zixthor's antennae twitched nervously. "But why?" he chittered. "Why pursue such rapid advancement? Were you preparing for war?" The room fell silent, all eyes on Captain Chen. Her response would shake the future of galactic relations. "Not war, Admiral," Chen said softly. "Survival. Earth's resources were dwindling, our population growing. We had to expand or face extinction. Space was the ultimate frontier, but to conquer it, we had to innovate." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We didn't build weapons because we wanted to fight. We built ships that could protect us because the universe is vast and unknown. We chose efficiency because waste is a luxury we couldn't afford." The aliens murmured among themselves, many nodding in understanding. They had all faced similar challenges in their own histories. Ambassador Lur's form rippled thoughtfully. "And now, what are humanity's intentions in joining the Concordat?" Chen smiled warmly. "To learn, to share, to grow. We believe in the strength of unity, in the power of diverse perspectives. We don't seek to dominate, but to collaborate." As she spoke, the holographic display shifted, showing images of Earth's lush forests, gleaming cities, and people of all races working together. It was a vision of harmony that resonated with many in the room. Slowly, the tension began to ease. Questions flowed more freely, with genuine curiosity replacing suspicion. The humans answered openly. sharing their hopes for the future and their willingness to learn from their new galactic neighbors. As the day wore on, it became clear that humanity's entry into the Galactic Concordat would not just be accepted, but welcomed. Their unique perspective and innovative approach promised to breathe new life into the ancient alliance. Admiral Zixthor, who had been skeptical at first, found himself nodding along with Chen's words. Perhaps, he mused aloud, we judged too quickly. Your tiny fleet may be small in size, but your spirits are greater than any I've encountered. As the meeting adjourned, a sense of excitement permeated the room. The galaxy stood on the brink of a new era, one where size and appearance mattered less than ingenuity and cooperation. The humans had not just earned their place among the stars. They had opened up new possibilities for all. As the negotiations between humanity and the Galactic Concordat progressed, tensions in other parts of the galaxy were reaching a boiling point. The Zraxian Empire, a warmongering race from the Outer Rim, had long been a thorn in the Concordat's side. Now, emboldened by reports of the Alliance's preoccupation with the humans, they saw an opportunity to strike. On the fifth day of talks, alarms blared throughout the space station. Admiral Zixthor's antennae quivered as he received the urgent transmission. Zraxian warships detected in the Proxima sector, he announced, his compound eyes wide with worry. They'd breached our defensive line. The conference room erupted into chaos. Alien delegates shouted and argued, fear evident in their varied forms of expression. Ambassador Lur's gelatinous body rippled violently, nearly losing cohesion in his panic. Amidst the turmoil, Captain Chen stood calmly, her gaze steady. Admiral, she said, her voice cutting through the noise, allow us to assist. Zixthor hesitated, memories of the human's previous display of power fresh in his mind. This is different, Captain. The Zraxians are not mere pirates. They have a vast armada, weapons that can shatter planets. Chen's lips curled into a small smile. So do we, Admiral. Trust us. Before anyone could object, Chen tapped her wrist communicator. Echo Fleet, this is Captain Chen. Initiate Operation Firewall. Silence fell over the room as the main view screen flickered to life, showing the vast expanse of space near the Proxima sector. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, suddenly, space itself seemed to ripple. Out of nowhere, hundreds of human ships materialized. Unlike the compact vessels they had first arrived in, these were massive battlecruisers, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly light. They moved with impossible grace, forming a perfect defensive line between the approaching Zraxian fleet and the Concordat's territories. Ambassador Lur oozed closer to the screen, his eye stalks wide with disbelief. How? Where did they come from? Commander O'Neill, standing beside Chen, explained, phase shift technology. Our ships were there all along, just out of sync with normal spacetime. The alien delegates watched in awe as the human fleet engaged the Zraxians. What followed was a display of military prowess, unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships danced between enemy fire, their advanced shielding absorbing blows that would have vaporized Concordat vessels. They returned fire with weapons that bent the very fabric of spacetime. Beams of concentrated dark energy lanced out, enveloping Zraxian ships in fields of distorted gravity that crushed them like tin cans. Swarms of AI-controlled drones deployed from the human cruisers, their collective intelligence outmaneuvering the Zraxian pilots at every turn. They herded enemy ships into kill zones, where the larger human vessels could pick them off with ease. But it was the flagship of the human fleet that truly showcased humanity's power. A colossal vessel, easily dwarfing even the largest Concordat dreadnoughts, moved into position at the center of the battlefield. Its hull began to glow, energy building to levels that made the alien observers' instruments go haywire. By the cosmic egg, Krog growled, his cybernetic eye whirring as it tried to process what it was seeing. What are they doing? The answer came moments later. The human flagship released a pulse of energy that expanded outward in a perfect sphere. As it washed over the Zraxian fleet, their ships simply, stopped. Frozen in space, engines dead, weapons silent. Captain Chen turned to the stunned alien delegates. Temporal stasis field, she explained casually. It removes the affected area from the normal flow of time. Don't worry, no one was harmed. They're simply paused. Admiral Zixthor's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation in his species. Captain Chen, he said slowly, I believe we may have underestimated your species, significantly. Chen nodded, her expression serious. Perhaps. But as I said before, we're not here to dominate. We're here to protect and collaborate. The Zraxians will be contained, and we can discuss a peaceful resolution to this conflict. As the reality of what they had just witnessed sank in, the alien delegates of the Galactic Concordat realized that the arrival of humanity hadn't just changed the balance of power in the galaxy. It had rewritten the rules of what was possible. The era of dismissing the tiny fleet was over. A new age of galactic cooperation and human leadership had begun. In the wake of the Zraxian conflict, the Galactic Concordat found itself in a state of profound transformation. The human delegation, once mocked for their seemingly insignificant fleet, now stood at the center of a whirlwind of diplomatic activity. Species that had previously sneered at the tiny fleet now clamored for alliances, technological exchanges, and protection agreements. Admiral Zixthor, his carapace polished to a high sheen, strode purposefully into the Grand Council chamber. The room, once dominated by the towering forms of various alien races, now seemed to revolve around the small group of humans seated at its heart. Captain Chen, her posture relaxed but alert, nodded respectfully as the Admiral approached. Admiral, she greeted, I trust the Zraxian delegation has been safely escorted to the negotiation chambers. Zixthor's antennae twitched in affirmation. Indeed, Captain. Though I must admit, their demeanor is considerably more subdued than in previous encounters. A ripple of amusement passed through the assembled delegates. The once fearsome Zraxians, their fleet still frozen in time at the edge of Concordat space, had quickly agreed to peace talks upon their release from stasis. Ambassador Lur oozed forward, his gelatinous form shimmering with excitement. Esteemed colleagues, he burbled, addressing the chamber, today we stand on the precipice of a new era. The humans have not only defended our territories, but have opened our eyes to possibilities we never dreamed existed. Murmurs of agreement echoed through the chamber. Even Krog, the cybernetic bear-like creature who had been most skeptical of the humans, nodded his massive head in acknowledgement. Captain Chen stood, her voice carrying clearly across the room. We appreciate your kind words, Ambassador, but we didn't come here to replace the existing order. We came to enhance it, to join our strengths with yours. She gestured to Dr. Patel, who activated a holographic display at the center of the chamber. It showed a vast network of interconnected worlds, ships, and space stations. What you see before you, Chen continued, is our proposal for a new galactic concordat, one that doesn't just defend against threats, but actively works to uplift all sentient species in our shared galaxy. The display zoomed in, showing detailed plans for technology sharing, cultural exchanges, and joint scientific endeavors. It was a vision of cooperation on a scale never before attempted in the history of the galaxy. Admiral Zixthor stepped forward, his compound eyes reflecting the shimmering hologram. This is ambitious, Captain. Some might say impossibly so. Chen smiled. Admiral, a wise human once said that the only way to discover the limits of the possible is to venture a little way past them into the impossible. We've already proven that what you thought was impossible is merely the beginning of what can be achieved when we work together. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans weren't just offering to share their advanced technology. They were proposing a fundamental reshaping of galactic society. Krog, his artificial eye whirring as it analyzed the display, growled softly. And what guarantees do we have that Earth won't use this new concordat to dominate us all? Chen's expression turned serious. A valid concern, Krog. which is why we propose a system of checks and balances. No single species, including humans, will hold unilateral power. We'll establish a rotating council with decisions made by consensus. She paused, letting her words sink in. Moreover, we'll open all our research facilities for joint projects. No more secrets, no more hidden fleets. Total transparency. The alien delegates murmured among themselves, a mix of excitement and apprehension rippling through the chamber. What the humans proposed was revolutionary, challenging millennia of established galactic politics. Ambassador Lur's form rippled thoughtfully. It's a bold vision, Captain Chen, but I believe I speak for many when I say it's one worth pursuing. One by one, the delegates voiced their agreement. Even Krog, after a moment's hesitation, gave a gruff nod of approval. As the session concluded, Admiral Zix Thor approached Captain Chen privately. "I must confess, Captain," he chittered softly, "when I first saw your tiny fleet, I thought your species insignificant. I've never been so glad to be proven wrong." Chen smiled warmly. "That's the beauty of the universe, Admiral. There's always something new to discover, always room to grow. Together, there's no limit to what we can achieve." As they looked out at the stars through the chamber's vast windows, both human and alien felt a sense of limitless possibility. The age of the tiny fleet was over. The era of galactic unity had begun. 5 years had passed since the formation of the new galactic concordat. The once mocked tiny fleet of humanity had become the cornerstone of a thriving interstellar community. On the anniversary of this monumental alliance, representatives from across the galaxy gathered on Earth for a grand celebration. The event was held in a massive anti-gravity arena floating high above the gleaming spires of New Geneva, Earth's capital for extraterrestrial affairs. Beings of all shapes, sizes, and compositions mingled freely, their translator devices humming softly as they exchanged greetings and ideas. Admiral Zix Thor, his carapace adorned with the symbols of both the old concordat and the new, stood at the edge of a viewing platform. His compound eyes took in the breathtaking vista of Earth's restored ecosystems below. "Quite a view, isn't it, Admiral?" The familiar voice made Zix Thor's antennae twitch in recognition. He turned to see Captain Chen, now Ambassador Chen, approaching with a warm smile. "Indeed it is, Ambassador," Zix Thor chittered. "I must admit, when you first spoke of terraforming dead worlds, I thought it another impossible human boast. Yet here we are, standing on a planet reborn." Chen chuckled softly. "We've all learned a lot about the nature of impossible these past few years, haven't we?" Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Ambassador Lur, his gelatinous form shimmering with excitement. "My friends," he burbled, "the ceremony is about to begin." The three made their way to the central platform where delegates from hundreds of worlds had gathered. At the center stood a holographic display, currently dark but humming with potential. Krog, now the head of the Concordat's newly formed Technological Ethics Committee, growled a greeting as they approached. His cybernetic enhancements, once a source of pride, had been largely replaced by organic regrowth, a testament to the medical advancements shared by humanity. "Are we ready to make history once again?" Krog rumbled, his organic eye twinkling with an emotion that would have been foreign to him years ago. "Hope." Chen nodded, tapping a control on her wrist. The holographic display sprang to life, showing a vast star map of the galaxy. Scattered throughout were pulsing points of light, each representing a member world of the new Concordat. "Friends, allies, fellow sentients," Chen began, her voice carrying across the arena. 5 years ago, we stood divided. Today, we stand united, not just in defense against threats, but in our shared pursuit of knowledge and growth. The star map zoomed in, focusing on a region of space that had once been lifeless, ravaged by ancient wars. Now it pulsed with new life, planets terraformed, dead worlds reborn. Together, Chen continued, we've turned barren rocks into garden worlds. We've lifted species on the brink of extinction to new heights of achievement. We've explored further and deeper into the cosmos than any of us dreamed possible. Zixthor stepped forward, his mandibles clicking in agreement. We've learned that true strength lies not in the size of our fleets or the power of our weapons, but in the diversity of our ideas and the strength of our unity. The display shifted again, showing the schematics for a massive structure, a sphere large enough to encapsulate a star. Lur oozed forward, his form rippling with pride. And now we embark on our greatest project yet. The Dyson Sphere, once thought to be merely theoretical, will soon become reality, providing limitless energy to all our worlds. Krog, his gruff voice softened by emotion, added, "But more than that, it stands as a testament to what we can achieve when we put aside our differences and work together." As the assembled delegates cheered, Chen looked out over the crowd. She saw not aliens, not different species, but fellow explorers, all part of the grand tapestry of galactic life. 5 years ago, she said, her voice carrying over the din, some of you mocked our tiny fleet. Today, we invite you to join us in building something greater than any fleet, any weapon, any single civilization could ever achieve on its own. A holographic display expanded, filling the arena with a vision of the future, a galaxy teeming with life, with ships of all designs traveling between stars, with worlds once thought dead now gleaming with the lights of new civilizations. This, Chen said, gesturing to the display, is our shared future, a future where size doesn't matter, where the power of an idea can reshape worlds, where every being, no matter how small, has the potential to change the cosmos. As the cheers reached a crescendo, Zixthor leaned close to Chen. "I never thought I'd say this," he chittered softly, "but I'm glad we underestimated your tiny fleet. It led us here, to greatness beyond measure." Chen smiled, her eyes fixed on the shimmering vision of the future. "No, Admiral," she replied. "It led us home." And as the celebration continued, the once mocked tiny fleet stood as a reminder to all that in the vast expanse of the universe, it's not the size of your ships that matters, but the size of your dreams.